Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? I made this ocean sensory bag for me. It was so much fun to make. Hey everyone, I'm Miss Emily, and today we are going to be creating ocean sensory bags. And ocean sensory bags are just as awesome as they sound. They do require a number of materials, so I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to start with what you absolutely need to make this, and then there's a few optional items depending on your child's age. So the first thing you'll definitely need is a Ziploc bag, blue hair gel. Now this is really cheap hair gel. I got at Kroger. I think it was a little bit over $1 for this huge bottle, and this would probably make at least 4 bags. So if you have a few kids, 1 bottle will probably do the trick. Duct tape. This is how you can kind of send the message after everything's in there. We're gonna keep this shut, and it's something we kind of use as a sensory toy that we can play with and squish around with. It's super important. You don't need this, but you can put glitter inside just to make it extra shimmery, like the sun's hitting it. And then here is where the options come in. So this is just kind of what you need to create the water. But then for your ocean animals, there's 2 options. If your child is on the younger side, I'd say under the age of 5, I would suggest using stickers and just putting stickers on the outside of the bag. Now there are tons of awesome sea creature stickers on Amazon that you can order. We have these little foam ones I brought from the studio that you could put on the outside of your bag. But if your child's a little bit older, I have a really fun project today that involves using Shrinky Dinks. So Shrinky Dinks are kind of like a plastic paper that you can draw on and then cut and then put in the oven. And when they shrink, the plastic kind of thickens and it makes it like a really strong little picture that we can also put inside our bag. And that's a great way to customize your ocean sensory bag. So if your child really enjoys drawing and thinking about all the different aspects of a sea creature, that would be a great option. Okay, so I'm gonna jump right in just a second. All right, so it's now time to start creating our bag. So the very first step is just kind of use your pinching fingers and open that bag up. And then we need to open our blue hair gel. That's gonna be our ocean water. And I am going to squirt probably until this is like maybe 1/5 or 1/6 of the way full. I don't want it to be so full that when I squeeze it, it always is causing a lot of pressure on the bag. I can see though right now I kind of need to give it some shakes so that it'll flow down to the bottom there, so when I squeeze it, something actually comes out. So I'm gonna kind of hold it open with this hand and then squeeze with this hand. This would be a great part to do with a partner, just so that way you aren't having to hold both parts at once. Sometimes it kind of makes some funny sounds when I'm doing this. Okay, I think I'm gonna put just a little bit more in there. Okay, so that should be pretty good. I'm just gonna kind of squeeze it to see about how much I have in here. I think that's pretty good. I could put a little bit more in, but I think that's okay. Okay, and now I'm gonna add some glitter as well to make my ocean kind of sparkly. I don't think I've opened this container yet, so I'm actually just gonna pull this lid right off and dump a little bit in here. All right. That is going to be an extra sparkly, beautiful ocean. Okay, so now is when, if you're working with a younger child, you may want to just add the stickers on the outside and duct tape this shut. That's absolutely awesome and a really cool way to do this. I'm actually gonna add a couple stickers at the end, but first, I'm gonna show you how to do the Shrinky Dink option. So, I'm just gonna kind of zip this shut for now. I bought a Shrinky Dink pack off Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. And these are called Rough and Ready because you use colored pencils on them. You can also buy kinds where you print on them or use permanent marker, but I like the Rough and Ready because I like the opportunity to use colored pencil. So when you start to draw on your Shrinky Dinks, things you can think about are what kinds of animals live in the ocean and what special features do they have that make them different from the other animals in the ocean, because those important little features are what you need to make sure you draw so that if someone's looking at an octopus, they know why it's different from a jellyfish. So I always try to make a list with students of all the different things that an animal has and then include those things in my drawing. So as you're working, if you're drawing a fish, maybe think, oh, I need to make sure I draw scales and fins and give it eyes and a mouth. So try to think through when you're drawing and working on your Shrinky Dinks today, all those special things that you need to create in your drawing, and really take your time with it, because the longer you spend on this, the more fun it'll be when you're playing with your sensory bag to look back at all the details you included in your drawing. So I just went ahead and drew some fun little sea creatures on here, just little cartoon animals, and I am now ready to cut them out. So I wanted to talk a little bit about cutting Shrinky Dink paper before I went ahead and did it, because something that happens is if you or your child is cutting this and you cut all the way, I'll kind of try to show. I'll do it over here. If I snip and I snip all the way, you can kind of see right here where there's, let me see, there's a little tear. So if you snip your scissors all the way shut, what happens is, because it's a plasticky paper, it actually tears a little bit more than where you cut. So when you're cutting, you have to be extra cautious. So whenever I'm teaching cutting Shrinky Dinks to the kids, I talk about keeping your scissors open and doing little cuts like this instead of going chomp, chomp, chomp. Okay, so we're gonna do little cuts. And also, my anglerfish, for example, has this really tiny detail. I'm not even gonna try to cut that close to it because I really will run the risk of it tearing. So instead, I'm gonna do kind of like a bubble cut around that. So I'm gonna take my time now and cut each of these out before I put them in the oven and shrink them down. As I'm cutting my little sea creatures out, one of the things I was thinking about is how some of these little parts on here might be a little bit sharp, and I don't want them to puncture my bag when I'm playing with it later, because it is gonna go inside there. So I'm gonna round out these edges instead of leaving them sharp. So that's something you wanna be careful about. If there's a really kind of pointy edge, like the end of this little sea turtle's fin, I'm gonna take a little bit of extra time and just kind of round that edge out. All right, so my baking sheet is ready. I put my Shrinky Dinks on there with my sea creatures, and I'm going to shrink them. So when they come out, they're gonna be super tiny. And as you can see, they've shrunk and they're really, really tiny. I need to let them cool. I always tell the kids, these are just like cookies. They were in that really hot oven. I need to give them a minute to rest before I touch them. So I'm gonna let them cool for just a minute, and then we'll take them off when they've cooled a bit and put them in our bag. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my little Shrinky Dink shark, anglerfish, sea turtle, lobster, just colorful fish I made up, in my bag. And then I'm gonna very carefully kind of press the air out and shut it. And then I'm gonna zip it shut. Okay. It's really important that you get all that air out when you do that. And I can kind of see them swimming around in there. But before I stop and play with this, I am going to make sure that it stays shut. And it's kind of important to talk to your child at this point about why we're gonna keep this shut and how it's something that we can squish and play with. But we don't really want to ever open it up again, because it'll just kind of make a big mess. And then we might even lose our special treasures that are inside. You can hear my dog Pico. Okay, so I'm gonna take 2 pieces of duct tape and just duct tape the top of this shut. If you feel better double bagging this project, feel free to do that as well. So I'm just gonna take some duct tape and tape it here. And I actually think I can just fold it over on this side, so I think I'm just gonna do that. I think that'll work really well. I don't even really need to do the second piece. I can maybe go over the ends with a little bit, just to make sure. Yep. Okay. So now I have my awesome Ocean Sensory bag. And I can kind of play with this and squeeze these around, and as I squeeze them, it's like they're swimming around in the ocean. So cool. And sometimes the glitter kind of covers some of them, so kind of think about how much you'd like to use. I like a lot of glitter. I think it looks really cool. I'm gonna kind of hold it up so you guys can see my little sea creatures in there swimming around. That was so much fun to make, and just a great way to spend my day at home. So guys, I hope you have a blast with this. Remember, you also have the option of putting stickers on the outside and then squishing it around. If you don't have the Shrinky Dinks at home, I'll post some links so you can see where to get Shrinky Dinks. I think they sell this on Amazon as well, but I'm pretty sure it's the cheapest if you get it when you do your next grocery run. If you go to Kroger, that's where we tend to get ours. Okay, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and you use this to create something really awesome.